I was probably about 10 or 11 years old. Of course, growing up in the church, we talked a lot about Christianity, and of course, my parents were good role models. You know, we always were at church. I knew what it was to be a Christian in my head. Of course, I felt like I was saved. Whether that was true or not at the time, I'm not 100% sure. I feel like I've probably always been aware of Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit, and what that is supposed to feel like. As a child growing up, no drinking in our house. It was pretty strict. When I got to be a junior or senior, I started experimenting with alcohol, but I was always concerned about it. I was never comfortable. I would just push that aside and go on with what I wanted to do. My job in emergency response was the stress of it was terrible. The death was terrible. You spent a lot of time without sleep. You're up all hours of the night, and you're happy to see people when things are blowing up and chaotic, and truck accidents and train wrecks, warehouse fires, explosions. It's a very strange life. There's a fear of failure. There's a real concern about a decision that you make will get somebody hurt. The fear of your own death, or that you would get hurt and leave your family. My knees would just be weak from fear that I was going to be killed. I felt like I was dependent on myself a lot, not the Lord. I said, well, I've got to make this decision. I've got to do this. And that's not how it works. My old boss man said, you have to be careful. It'll take your family, it'll take your health, and if you let it, it'll take your life, and it almost did. I should have realized that God was with me all the time, but I just didn't feel it. And from that point, I was very involved with the church. I was raising kids. I wanted my kids to have a good example. I really felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. I felt like I was doing the kind of work I was supposed to do, and that I was in the will of God. But I had nightmares and couldn't sleep, and so I said, well, I drink a little bit, and you can escape knowing that I'm not the kind of person that can drink and just walk away from it. I didn't feel like God could help me. I felt like there were times when He could have helped in situations, and he didn't. And I lost faith. God didn't go anywhere, and I lost faith. And I had such a faith crisis. And I remember the night. I was completely alone at home, and I remembered when you didn't know what to say, that the Holy Spirit would speak for you. And so that's what I prayed, that I just didn't know. I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know what I needed to do. I just simply said to the Holy Spirit, I just don't know. I don't know. I was fairly certain I was going to lose my family. If something did not change in my life, that I may in fact die and go to hell. I didn't know. That sort of thing only ends one of three ways. You either quit, you die, or you go to jail or an institution, and that's it. You're not going to get out of it without Jesus, or you can die, and that's really the only ways out. That was probably the lowest point I've probably ever been in my life. Nothing was as severe as that. Nothing was Nothing was as real as that was. God is always with you. He always sees you. But after I went through a lot of problems with drinking, then is when I saw God cares about me. I didn't realize that. I was looking for peace in other things like alcohol. Really came to terms with, what I intended to do with the rest of my life. The rest of my life for God and not for me. In the end, I had to be willing to submit to God. I had to be willing to surrender, to allow God to work in my life. That's the only way that I got peace, was through surrender, humility, let my pride go, to give everything to God, every piece of your heart. You don't hold anything back, and that's really what I had been doing, is holding back part of my heart. To know that I can call out to the Holy Spirit, I can call to Jesus, and to know that He is there with me, it gives me peace. The things I have to be thankful for are too numerous now. It's a wife, it's a family, it's grandchildren, it's friends, it's church, it's work. It's just a good thing to see the sunshine, and I'm thankful that God took the time to see me where I was in my life, and to know that all the time that God is with me, that He sees me right now. He gives me peace.